This is Dixie, owned by Mark Barrett. What I'm going to go through, Mark, is some of the steadying stuff at the water. Ryan's going to be throwing stuff, but there's a couple things new. One, I'm going to add the word Mark to kind of signal her that I want her to look out. So first going to blow the call a little bit so you can see she's used to hearing that by the water. Mark. Tell her Mark. Sit. Dixie. Release on her name. A couple things. If she was to have broke on me, if she's already moving, a lot of people want to say sit right away, but you actually want to get her back on either here or heel. Get her back, and then just give her a short correction for sit again. Sometimes if they break, I'll get them back, have them sit, and then I'll just pop the gun a couple times again and then send them. So it's really important to get her to realize to wait. Sometimes I tell people if you're in a boat or a blind or certain situations, if you're having issues with that, you can stake your dog down. In other words, stake them down to a short slip lead on the stake on the ground or tie them in the boat, and let the restraint of that kind of help get her to wait. And then when she comes in, I want her to come into heel and hold it. So when she gets close, here, good girl, heel. And I want her to finish where she started. Heel. Sit, 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 drop. And if she's shaking it like that, if it's a bird or a heel or an object, I just reinforce the sit command. So I'll repeat that. Mark. 98, 24, 36. Dixie. Every once in a while I'll just throw some other words in there just to make sure she's not going off the sound of my voice. Now this can be a little different for some dogs. They want to run this bank, but I have had her work in where there's more open water where she can't run the bank. If she runs it coming back, that's fine. Even if she runs it out and goes in, that's fine. It's more about when she gets it, she's heading back with it. And also I kind of recommend for young dogs that are just starting their waterfowl experience, don't put out dozens and dozens of decoys. Start out, like right here is about a dozen. Just enough to, hopefully pull some birds in, but not too many where it's a little overwhelming right away. And try and be picky on your shots for a young dog, hoping, whatever you shoot will fall out front. Here. Heel. Sit. Drop. Sit. Now I'm going to move her up to this platform. Kennel. I'll use the word kennel. If she's going in a hide pooch or going on a platform or somewhere in your boat, just kind of point to them and tell them to kennel. And if she was to jump off this, the same thing. Get her back first. Sit. Mark. Dixie. Now what I'm doing here, Mark, I'm just kind of showing you if you're, you want to work your pups on this. It's best to start out with singles like this, so you don't have too much going on. And then with Duke, I'll throw in some doubles just so you can see how kind of do that application. Good girl, Dix. And then from here, I'm going to go to some actual ducks and let you see her handling some actual mallards. But the concept is try and make it as easy for them to see what's going on. You know, people always worry about camel and their dog. The camel behind them is more important to me than the camel in front of them. I mean, they're dark, so they blend in good. So just make sure you got camel, you know, behind them, but try and make it where they can see what's going on in front of them. That's a big deal. If they can't see on some of this, you know, then you're just kind of sending them when they have no idea where to go. Same thing when she comes here. Heel. Sit. Drop. Good girl. Sit. Sit. Now we'll do a couple ducks here. Mark. Dixie. And you can see she got a little more effort here because she saw that duck moving around. And I do that intentionally. I kind of prepare them in a way or tape them in a way where hopefully you get a little movement there too at first to kind of pull your puppies out there when you're doing this training. Because if there's a little movement, sometimes the dogs are a little more inclined to want to go check that out. Good girl. And it's real important when you start these dogs on ducks, I typically throw them on land first. Just like play fetch with one, because a lot of dogs at first are a little reluctant on grabbing them because of the smell. There's a little more oil in those feathers, so they do definitely have a different smell than a, than a pheasant. Now, if she was coming in and I saw her kind of mouthing that or playing with it a little bit, I'd just give her a little correction on here and trying to get her to think more about coming in instead of mouthing the bird a little bit. She's actually pretty good. So here, heel, drop, drop, sit. Good girl. Trying to turn so I get my camera all wet. So we'll give her one more duck here. This time I'm going to stagger the shots a little bit because sometimes they'll break, when there's a kind of a gap in between shots. Mark. Sit. 98. 24. Dixie. And sometimes when you open the gun or eject the shells, they take off too. So that's why I opened the gun that time. So hopefully this gives you, just a little foundation on kind of her experience being shot at next to at the water and handling retrieves, swimming by decoys. So this is something you can always, duplicate on your own if you got the spot to do it. It's just best, instead of you throwing stuff from your side when you're doing this, to have somebody that can throw for you, just to get the looking out. So the main word I added was mark, to kind of signal her. Some people will use, like ready or watch or whatever you want. It's just more about alerting her that something's going to happen. Good girl, Dix. Here. Heel. Heel. Sit. Drop. Sit. So that's Dixie, owned by Mark Barrett.